Hello and welcome back to Miniverse, where this month I've decided to possibly finish up the Cursed City series with a spooky Warhammer Diorama. So let's cut up this new XPS foam I found, but before continuing I need to introduce you to someone. This dude! He will be our main antagonist for this diorama, who also reminds me of the caretaker boss from The Witcher 3. Rest in peace, Witcher. With the shape of the diorama now out of the way, it's time to convert our Stormcast hero into the monster hunter we all know and love. So to do this, I added a new helmet and replaced his weapon with a new shiny axe. I cannot tell you how many times I dropped this damn miniature and the axe broke in two. It was three whole times. But bam! Once primed, he's looking pretty badass. So now it's clay time, which means I need to cut this diorama up to add some anchor points onto the diorama so that the clay can stick and hold itself on. I've got to say though, swapping from texture paste to clay has been a blast. It is so much more fun. You really get to sculpt the ideas in your head. 100% recommend, and it's dirt cheap too. So with the bulk of the clay done, I wanted to add this little rock outcropping. The idea is that the antagonist is going to be standing on this looking down at his potential victim, the monster hunting knight. And would you look at all these little bits of resin I get to mess around with. But man, all these little resin bits was such a pain later on. You'll see. You'll see. So let's paint our knight in shining armour in the least imaginative way ever. The silver. Yep. I also gave him a red arm in homage, who knows, to Commander Shepard, even though I did it on the wrong arm. Yep. We'll get him next time. Now let's move on to some good old pain and suffering. This is when I realised I should have put all the resin bits of terrain into this terrain paste instead of the clay. So what happened for the next good few hours was putting this clay into all of the gaps. And this is also the least adhesive clay in the world, which is great for a lot of scenarios, this not being one of them. But if you do this at home, make sure to keep your fingies clean, as once they're dirty, that clay will not adhere to anything. So keep your fingers clean. Anyway, back to something a little bit more interesting. This guy. So to paint his fabulous cloak, dress, kilt? Anyway, I painted about 4 really thin washes of sea blue to create some easy highlights and nice, deep, rich tones. Then for the shovel I painted it in a nice bronzy copper tone, which I really was not a fan of. So off camera I gave it a thin wash with some silver paints, and BAM! It looks pretty banging. But after that I painted the wood in the shovel and his little hangman's noose on his back. I still don't know if that's a skirt or not, let me know. So for the skin I applied a few washes of flesh shade and green washes, but wait for it, the biggest contributor was that winter streaking grime, which worked a treat. And of course you can go back over and create easy highlights with the spirit soaked cotton wool bud. Ooh. Next, I painted all the bones and metallic features on his mask and his multiple injuries from whoever's entered this graveyard. Why do you think he's roaming this graveyard? I don't know. Do you know? Let me know. Now it's time to add some dirt to the diorama, and to do this I soaked the clay in watered down PVA and sprinkled all of the dirt into sections so that one part doesn't dry first. Now, this is where the fun begins. I started spraying IPA all over so that the PVA can soak in nice and easy. So as always, it's time to paint that dirt to look like dirt and get this airbrush out. I painted the diorama in dusty browns and yellows. I do love to watch this footage back and see what it looked like before adding all the other paint and texture on top. It's really encouraging, to be honest, because there are times with any project you sit there, it's on your desk for a couple of days and you're like, how do I paint this dirt? And sometimes it's just better just to get on with it. Certainly paint it purple for all you like, you know, a little bit of paint on it is the best and quickest way to success. So finally, let's paint the bits on the diorama. I decided to freeball it and paint it in a way I haven't really done for, looking at no other photos and using a lot of brush strokes to make some highlights, which was really fun and surprisingly quick, and I think, especially on the rocks, it really had this interesting look to it. So one of the new techniques I learned with this diorama was implementing some of the original earth tones into all the paints. So basically, whenever I chose a new paint, maybe grey, let's say, I put a little bit of that brown earth tone in so it all looks natural and all together. I think it looks pretty good in the end. Judge for yourself. But man, there was only one problem, and that was trying to reach some of the really hard places, but we got there in the end. So I'll leave you be for the next 30 or so seconds as you can relax and watch me paint this diorama. So as players, I just want to say a really big thank you to all the new people who have subscribed recently and everyone who leaves really nice comments. It's really humbling and it's really heartwarming to read all about it. So I'm Reese and I'll catch you next time. Enjoy some juicy B-roll of the final diorama. I also have an Instagram if you want to stay up to date with what I am doing. Check that down below. See ya!